I mean, also, Rice Gum was involved in that. It's like a Twitch streamer, but that guy's like, how many scandals has that guy been involved with? I mean,
Trying to listen to his apology. Oh, it's terrible. He said I was trying. This is quote from him, not from me. I was quote trying to get the youngins to tap in and shit. It ain't on no scam shit. Me and
oh
FaZe K
my
are
God.
close. Okay, this just came in. This is from
Okay.
Complex Music. Little Uzi Vert allegedly pointed gun into girlfriend's face while she was at business meeting with St. John.
Who's St. John? Like the singer?
Yeah. What's his name? How do you say
No,
that?
it's St. John, but I just didn't know it was the singer or some like
Some
clothing brand.
Oh. That's terrible. I think
That
wasn't he like really happy with his girlfriend? I've always seen them being posted up on social media.
I've never seen him with a girlfriend. I've
Did you
always
see
thought
the
it's
diamond
like,
in his forehead?
okay, I mean, this guy's on another one. I mean, I fuck with his music, but my God, wasn't he gonna die putting that thing in?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
he couldn't take it out, I'm pretty sure. Or
You
maybe he
bleed.
tried.
He's gonna bleed to death.
His brain was attached, so if he took it out, the prefrontal cortex was coming with it.
Speaking of prefrontal cortex, okay, I'm
I
25.
have no clue where this is going.
It's going to the whole crypto scam and shit.
Oh, there we go.
Brutal.
Not
But speaking
great.
of prefrontal cortex, a couple FaZe members got in a little hot water. Getting involved with Save the Kids. It's a new crypto coin that a part
Sounds
of
so
every.
innocent. It just sounds good. They're doing good work.
It also sounds like the biggest scam of all time.
Coney 2012?
So this coin pledges to give a certain percentage, I forget the percent, of each transaction, I believe. And it goes towards like giving kids money through like whatever UNICEF or just some sort of fundraiser or a NGO. And it turned out that a bunch of creators were brought on as ambassadors who got coins. Then they made all these tweets getting their kid fans to go and buy the coins because it's going to help the kids. And then once those kids that they got to buy the coins bought coins, they sold and made a massive profit. And that coin just tanked and turned into nothing. And what happened
So they
was
lost all their money. These young impressionable kids
They
didn't
lost-
know any better.
they lost everything because of their role models. And two of them are FaZe Jarvis, FaZe K. FaZe K is 25 years old. And speaking of prefrontal cortex, your decision-making part of your brain is completely developed at this point. To think that that's morally okay or like, oh, well, we'll get away with it is the most backwards banana shit of all time. But when we look at FaZe Jarvis, who actually was just in that boxing YouTubers versus TikTokers boxing event, I didn't even realize he's 18. It's not that it's excusable, but it's like, at least it's not 25 fucking people. Like 18, they just don't know any better. So that's kind of a crazy piece of news that came out. Also, Rice Gum was involved in that. It's like a Twitch streamer, but that guy's like, how many scandals has that guy been involved with? I mean, and every single time he goes, got that bag though, and then you're like, well, you ruined people's lives doing that, like getting a bag. Like, does that feel good?
Trying to listen to his apology. Oh, it's terrible. He said I was trying. This is quote from him, not from me. I was quote trying to get the youngins to tap in and shit. It ain't on no scam shit. Me and FaZe K are close. It's a 40-second clip, and that is the highlight of the clip.
That is cringe.
I was trying to get the youngins to tap in on this shit. Here's the crazy thing that I didn't know. You said that there was, because I'm like, I try to see the best in people. So I'm like, maybe he didn't know.
Well,
No,
too
he
much.
did. He did.
You're like, maybe there's a silver lining here. Maybe they weren't trying to fuck over people.
But they were.
But
And
they absolutely were.
You explained how you could trace his wallet.
Okay, so
and
CoffeeZilla is this
Okay.
YouTuber who's like kind of breaking all the news for all this shit.
Love it.
And so far, I believe there's only been proof shown that FaZe K is like the worst of all the influencers involved, which
Right.
were Rice Gum, Phase K, Phase Jarvis, Phase Tico. Okay? Phase K, this fucking guy, gets his wallet found, where the wallet is like it's like a set of numbers of your crypto wallet, and it's a public record. Anyone can see, if they can find your wallet code, they can see all your transactions. When you bought, when you sold, what was it for, what was it, what did you make, what did you lose. So someone found his wallet and was tracking it back to his tweets. But the thing is he was deleting his tweets, but Google Cache would save the original tweets, but you get 404 error when you clicked on the link, but you'd still see the tweets. So people linked it to, they found his wallet, and then they got to see when he was buying, what he was buying, and when he was selling it, and it was based off of his tweets. As soon as it would go up a lot of money, he'd sell.
So he tweets it out. His fan base says, "Oh, this is a great idea. I trust this guy."
And then the funniest part is he goes, "This is not financial advice." At the end of all of his tweets.
I know you guys trust me with your hard-earned money that you probably have like none of, because most of you are still in high school. But just know this is not financial advice.
Listen, I bought it. I think there's a huge future here, but I just want to say that this is not advice. I just think it's a really good idea. It's like, that is advice, you fucking idiot. Like, you can't just say it's not advice. It's so funny.
I got more. We're turning into a drama channel. I love this. I got more. I got more of it. You know, I've gone on record in private conversations with you and said how much I hate Ethan Klein and what he stands for. Ethan Klein was reacting to Jeff Wittek, who was taking shots at the Frenemies podcast with Trisha Paytas. That ended great. That ended real well. And this is what Ethan Klein said. Jeff, you want to talk about us making content? Your best friend, who you're still doing videos with, attempted to murder you with an excavator.
Let's be honest here. Let's be honest. We both don't like Ethan Klein. He's a funny motherfucker. I was a huge fan of his.
He's a
prior
troll.
To his,
yeah,
his fucking.
He's funny.
His wokeness. That's a grifter right there. That guy just complete switch for the views.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
he's hilarious.
At some level, you got to respect that.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
his business. He will do anything to get people to watch.
And he's just
that's just a hell of a line. I can't believe you're still doing videos with the guy that tried to murder you with an excavator.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that all of Dobrik's friends are like, it's all good. It's all good. Everything's great. And it's like, this guy's like, and the videos are still like really culty. Like, you know, when they just laugh like, and you're like, no one laughs like that. And that wasn't even funny enough to invoke that reaction. And it's always led by Dobrik. Like, he's always the one who laughs first and loud, and like it's the fakest thing on earth. Like, what is that? Doesn't that feel cultish?
Well, yeah. Everything's a cult now. There's no like formalized religion, so now we worship social media icons and people like this, or crypto stocks.
Weird. But yeah, that's a good slam by Ethan Klein. It's a great slam. That guy's funny motherfucker. And that whole Trisha blow up was just I
made
just
the bag.
couldn't help but smile.
They made the bag. Everything melted down. Like, I would never want my life to melt down that so publicly like that, but at the end of the day, they both made the bag. So who really lost?
But you don't have borderline personality disorder.
Yeah. So there's that.
Trisha has that and is vocal about it.
So last week we talked about Social Gloves not getting paid. All the fighters probably should have got their money up front. Well, turns out Austin McBroom is like co-CEO or owns a lot of the Social Gloves company. Tough luck for somebody that was like the headline fight.
Yeah, apparently it was public news, or public, like anyone could see it.
Yeah.
But no one like looked hard enough to see what it was.
And wasn't a big deal until people were not getting paid.
No. And it's funny because when that came out, I watched an Ethan Klein clip of him calling him a scammer. I'm like, I can't wait to see what this is about because I didn't know McBroom was like a scammer at all. Dude, apparently this guy has been involved in a lot of like business deals that are just like sublime. And it makes me think like how many people on YouTube and just generally like in the world are actually what they say they are and make and do what they say they make and do. Like, and that's kind of like a greater point, getting a little off topic. It's like I remember who was it saying? I think it was like Michael Gruen was saying that Elon Musk doesn't make the best stuff. Like he's not the premium car guy or rocket guy or whatever it is. Maybe the rocket thing's off, not necessarily part of this, but it's like he's more of a marketer. Like he tells his story better. He has a narrative that rings true to more people than the next guy. But really, there's more people out there that are a lot better, a lot more talented. And it kind of makes me feel like the same thing with a lot of these YouTubers or even rappers. They wear big chains, they flex externally, but then you go back to their house and you're like, oh, these guys like don't live a good life. Or like you follow them around and you're like, oh, this is like a facade. And I'm starting to notice this more and more with a lot of creators and just business people. I'm like, how real is what you say you're doing? Or is it this like lying about scarcity type marketing tactic? Or like saying, I made all this money, you want to make it too? Let's go. And it's like, you didn't actually make a lot of money. You're just showing things that make people think you made money. You know what I mean? I'm kind of just...
I do. No. I'm picking up on that. I think the crazy thing for me is that at least I see these YouTube pre-roll ads where it's the guy saying like, oh, I made this person who just signed up to my agency $30,000 this week. And at this point, I'd like to think that most people see that kind of video and like, okay, this is bullshit. If this guy's running ads for this like magical course that's going to change my life, it's probably a scam. But then by the same token, we look at these influencers of these Ricegum, great example, super popular, huge fan base. People watch him stream. Millions of people watch him stream every day. And somehow we can detach that from the fact that this guy's ripped people off on multiple scams and stunts a couple times. And I'm thinking in my head, like, why are those two people so different? And they're not really, but there's like this weird divide where if somebody is like an entertainer, we almost give them a pass, which I don't understand. But I mean, we're seeing it more and more. Like, it's just like, oh, this influencer was involved in a really shady thing that went backwards and like fucked over a lot of people. And it's going to come to the point one day where it's like, oh, that's not really a story anymore. We just take that at face value and say, oh, that happened. Okay.
But I think it depends on the influencer. Like there's certain people that are easy to hate and easy to cancel and tear down. And there's some where you're like, David Dobrik was getting, Trisha was saying all the shit she's saying now, like years ago about David Dobrik. No one did anything. No one said anything. He just kept on doing his business. And then all it took was that one insider piece to fuck him up. Like there's some uncancelable people. Look in the rap game. They say some fucked shit about like everything. They don't get canceled.
No.
But you look at maybe some TikToker, every other week they're apologizing. Like there's certain creators on certain platforms, and creators I don't just mean YouTubers and shit. I mean like musicians, visual artists, whatever you are, you create things. Some have a pass, some don't. Rice Gum, Nelk Boys, they just will never get caught. Nothing's bad's gonna happen. They'll never apologize. But you look at maybe a Shane Dawson or a Logan Paul, they'll be apologizing because they want that squeaky clean, or they want to just, appease. So it's interesting.
Can you have a squeaky clean image anymore? Like, I feel like even
I use the wrong
Charli
word.
is going to get torn down. And she's like as PG as it comes.
You said who? Charli D'Amelio?
Yeah. She was in the headlines this week for twerking. People are like, you can't do that. You're appropriating black culture.
No way.
Yeah, that's a fact. Speaking of things that you can't do, NHL just making waves last week. I saw so much outrage on Twitter because they hired Canadian TikToker Josh Richards. Bang, bang. I just saw so many blue check marks, no names, just ripping. What are they doing? Get a haircut.
That
What's
is
he gonna
so
do for the
hockey.
game? This guy's never played hockey. I'm like,
Get a
guys,
haircut? Is that what they
yeah,
said? This guy grew
yeah.
up playing hockey. Like he loves hockey. He talks about it all the time. Like he's
Like,
not
guys, you could use the help. Like, you're getting your ratings are the same as like WWE SmackDown for an event they run weekly.
dude, it's
This
yeah,
has
the
been like the
NHL.
least entertaining Stanley Cup Finals in like the last 5 years. I don't know. Maybe you could use some help.
Okay, but the thing is, I did see one of Josh Richards' TikToks at the NHL finals
And
and
it
it
was
was
terrible.
bad.
Oh, I have to say,
Bad,
I have to bring
dude.
this up. I wish we have the like maybe we're probably not going to find the clip, so I shouldn't even say this. But the NHL, they speaking of bad things, the NHL brought out Ian Dior and 24 karat golden to 20, is it? Did I say 24 karat gold?
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just waiting for what you're gonna say.
24K
Oh no.
golden to do a pregame in Tampa for the finals, and then they gave them like seats to the game. And they're okay, here's my first thing. They're like 17 rows up. And then the second thing is that Sportsnet showed these guys on the broadcast in like in between whistles where they're like very clearly filling time because they had nothing to say. And they name key them, and the
No.
commentators like looking at them, and I just imagine this guy's like, who the fuck are these guys? Because he's like, wow, look at who we have at the game, guys. And then they got back to the ice because this guy had no clue who these people were or what the significance of these people were.
So that explains a lot why Josh Richards in this TikTok used "Mood" by 24K Gold and an Ian Dior. Just look at that TikTok real quick. We'll cut this in the pod. Just as a quick little TikTok. This is brutal.
This is bad.
Brutal.
Oh, this is terrible.
It's just bad content.
Oh, this is terrible.
Like that's seriously trash content.
Okay, but what do you want to see from Josh Richards? I kind of want to see him do and I don't know enough about TikTok dances. I kind of want to see him do something with like Cooch and give me Kucherov and like Braden Point with all of like the injuries that they're not disclosing to the public after they win the cup. Like I want Josh Richards as the guy with like the mic in the locker room after they win the cup, and I want him doing TikTok dances with the boys, and just to see like how hurt are these guys really? Like is Kucherov's hip really working? I want to see that.
And I want to see if Kucherov can bite his lip and like do the cutesy face with Josh Richards. But you know what? I shit on this content. I'm like, it's trash content. And then I look, it's like 400,000 likes, 4,600 comments. Like, it clearly is raising insane awareness.
Get in the Stanley Cup mood with me. So somebody at the NHL definitely wrote that.
Yeah, he did not write that. And I'm hoping he didn't come up with that idea because that was just so uncreative.
Terrible.
It was just uncreative. But it's I mean, it's just also TikTok is just high output, not much thinking, you know?
Yeah,
You just
low
fucking
thought.
throw it out there.
Yeah,
But
people just scream through their feed. I want to stick on the numbers just for a sec here. So that video, terrible video, terrible. Did just about 400,000. The NHL's last 6 post did less than that combined. So there you go. For
So
all
they
the
need
hockey heads saying the game doesn't need this, go get a haircut.
so
Maybe you do.
I didn't
You
read
need this.
what his role is, but did you read the article? I didn't read I should fucking article.
I mean, it would have been good to prepare. That would have been.
I mean, I didn't know we were gonna talk about this. You fucking brought it up, but it's all good. I mean, I just wonder what is the actual. Do they have a plan installed? Like, I hope to God it's not just like he'll come up with this amount of content per month. Like, what is the content, and like, is it actually going to help grow the game, or is it an awareness play? Is it like an actual conversion play with this guy? Like, what is like the actual? Or why don't we do a little like get your take on it? Do you think that they're going for the awareness play, or do you think they're actually going for like let's convert people to watch the game? Because I don't think content like this, get in the mood with me, is going to get people to watch the game. I think just people are like, oh, NHL, oh, Stanley Cup.
This is
And
cool
it's
that
just,
this like TikTok influencer guy is like supporting hockey.
yeah.
I don't know what it's. I mean, it's awareness. They're not going to convert people. I think it's about reaching a younger audience. Is that not the biggest buzzword for all of these sports leagues now? Like, we need to reach a younger audience. That's what we need to do.
But the thing is, like, do they not look at his, like, what's his male to female on TikTok or YouTube?
I would have no clue.
I mean, he's getting more male with the whole Barstool thing and like older audience, but it's like how much really, like, I look at the TikToks, it's just him being like a fucking, hot guy on TikTok, just like dancing and looking cool
With the jersey. Love
yeah,
it.
it's just, I don't know if it even the awareness play works that well. Hey, sorry, quick little bathroom break. We're back. I just hope
Bang.
I just
Get
look
a
at
haircut.
I just look at Michael Gruen, where I'm like, this is a smart business guy from the way when I listen to him talk and the way his like philosophy on everything, and he's just like a rational guy from whenever I hear him. I'm like, there's no way it's gonna go poorly. Like, I just think that like he is in tune with like culture and what makes people click and convert and move in the business world. Like, I'd like to think that there's some plan. I just don't know what it is. I don't think like they're trying to reach a younger audience, but like what is the content that's actually going to make people interested in hockey? Like, what makes people interested in basketball? I mean, the celebrity, the rappers, like the sport just looks cool, is really easy to understand, it's explosively athletic and gets people involved. Like, you don't even need to know what's going on in basketball, but you see LeBron James going for a dunk, you're like, whoa, that's exciting. Like, that's cool. Hockey, you're watching like an alien sport. Like, it really makes no sense. Like, how are they doing the skating? You don't even know what's impressive about the skating until you skate, like edge work and shit. Like, what's offside? Like, it's going so fast, I can't keep up. Oh my god, that was a big hit. I'm like, it's line changes. There's different people on all the time. Like, I don't know who to follow. How do you answer all those questions from a content standpoint and get people involved? Like, how do you gain interest? I don't know if Josh Richards' content will gain any interest unless he's like fucking around with the athletes. But then the athletes are like, a bunch of old school guys where they're like fucking TikTok wiggle dickers. Like, this is bro. You know what I mean? Like, there's no NHL athletes doing TikToks like LeBron James is with his family. So it's like, how is Josh Richards going to bridge that gap?
I don't know. It's a good question. I think there's a lot of friction there, like you said. But I think that he's going to tap in interesting ways. One of the connections that I think is really underrated that we haven't touched on is that he's a Barstool guy, and Barstool also just happens to have the biggest hockey podcast in the world. So there might be some synergies there.
Have they spoken about this on Spit and Chicklets yet?
Probably, yeah.
No, wait, have they even had a
so.
podcast lately?
Yeah, I think they dropped one. They dropped one yesterday with Georges Larocque.
Oh, Georges Larocque. That's gonna be a good one.
That
Dude, I
guy's
can't wait to
heavy.
hear stories with Whitney, like racing for $1,000 at practice.
Classic. We need more stories like that. That's what's gonna grow the game.
Yeah, I mean, I was working with Pavel Barber, for a couple, like, we just shot some stuff, and like he brought up the Josh Richards thing, and he was like, I don't know, like, what's a TikToker gonna do for hockey? Like, people are just gonna, like, Pavel Barber's a hockey guy, and he gets hockey culture, and he gets ripped because he's like, not this at all, but people go, oh, he's a trick guy, he's a soft guy, doesn't understand like hard hockey, old school hockey. It's like, if they're giving him shit, and he knows hockey's really good, he fucking trains Jonathan Taves, stick handling coach. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. They give him shit. What are they gonna give a guy from Cobourg, Ontario, who's in LA being like a fucking dancer? What respect is he gonna get? That's the huge concerning point, and I'm scared the NHL is just like, oh, he's 25 million followers, he's on Barstool's podcast, and it's like,
this is good. God. We need the help. Another thing that I'm worried about before I move on quickly is that this is not going to be his main thing.
What, the NHL?
Yeah,
Oh,
this is like number 5 on the list, I would guess, conservatively.
I hope not. I mean, okay. If we'll close on this. What do you think the bag that was thrown at him is for this deal? And
I
what do you
have
think he has to do for
n-
it? Let's just guess.
no. I need 50 Instagram posts per year. Could you imagine? I'm just thinking about some of the absurd deals that like smaller influencers get. That's probably nowhere close to what this is. Um, in terms of money, I would guess anywhere between no, actually, I guess probably mid to high 5 figures.
A month or in total?
No. I would guess that they're gonna do this for a year and then reevaluate after that.
I bet you he's making like 500 grand.
That would be a lot of money.
Well, think about their podcast BFFs gets like 1 million listens on YouTube or 1 million plays on YouTube every episode almost. 25 million on TikTok with really crazy engagement rate. YouTube has like 2 million or something. Like that awareness is not worth 5 figures for a year. You know what I mean? Like he's cashing those bags off a brand deal, like a regular brand deal for like one post. You know. So what's going on with you lately? So what kind of work have you been doing? Let's talk about let's get off like the fucking
Influencer
external
drama
world. I want to
train.
know more about like I don't know what's going on with you. We were working on a website. I don't know if we can talk about it, or not we, but you. But what's
Me.
going on in the world of Mose?
Websites, just tons of websites these days. Could not tell you how much I dislike doing mobile websites. They're just like the most impossible thing in the world. But yeah, lots of websites. They're fun. I think I'm only going to do websites moving forward because there's like a real clear formula to follow. And there's really clear constraints, and people value websites way more than they do most other creative services
Well, what's interesting is like you start as a graphic designer, and all those skills transfer so well over to web design.
so easily.
And I remember when you showed me like the process work and what you're working on with the website for Gladiator, I was like, holy fuck. Like this is like gorgeous. Like it looks so good, but you're not a coder and you're not really a website builder. So
Yeah.
it's almost like and you were even saying to me you're like I would rather do this than any graphic design because I feel like it mixes it's like the perfect mix of creative to understanding like human behavior and like how to like guide an eye to like convert to business. Like there's like an interesting like duality there that you play with where that maybe in graphic design you don't like you do but it's not as intense.
I
Does that
definitely
like
think
bring you a
graphic
thrill?
design's way more like open-ended. And where that becomes a problem is that it's hard to stay on page with or just interpret what a client's asking for. Where they're like, I need it to be like modern and sleek. You're like, what does that mean? So it look like Apple, or does that look like what do we want? What's going on here? Whereas like a website, there's like a really clear um, frame of reference, and there's like real clear restraints and limitations to like what it can do and section by section, which I really like because I feel like projects moves faster, and there's just way less room for like bad misinterpretations between what the client's asking for and what you're actually delivering.
Do you have any interest in learning code or like sorry, excuse me, getting into like the science behind making a website or is that not so much of your alley? You'd rather do design?
I would rather do design. One of the interesting things with web design is that there's three, four, there's at least five website builders that don't require code or require very little code. And then on the other side, for the like WordPress, it's probably like the biggest web hosting service and tool that people use to build websites. There's actually a bunch of third party plugins that will abstract the code out of it so that you have like a front end designer where you can move stuff around just like you would in Photoshop. But at the end of the day, the client gets like this really clean website um, that's built to code and that doesn't do a bunch of weird things when you resize. So it's actually a really great time if you are a designer to make the switch because the tools are just getting better and better. And the need for code for I would say like 75 to 85% of marketing sites or e-commerce sites you can have a really solid website without having to do like custom code and JavaScript and all the crazy code stuff.
But how much value do you think you would get out of like finding someone you can work with who's like on the back end side? Like he loves the code, loves the math. Like do
It'd
you
be
ever think
unreal.
that you would want to find someone like that? Like how much does that,
Absolutely.
and how do you find someone like that? That's like the hardest shit. Where do you meet? Because it's like meeting someone online is one thing, but it's like you kind of want to meet them in person. It's like where
Mhm.
does that even go down? Where does that networking even
I
happen?
don't know. I wish I had a better answer. I know that a lot of people recommend sites like Upwork, which is like the I guess like the developer version of something like Fiverr. But a lot of that talent, and this is not to stereotype, but a lot of that talent's coming from overseas. So do with that what you will. And then otherwise, I think working for or doing freelance for agencies is a great way to just get introduction to teams where you're working with a content strategist and you're working with a developer, and then you meet those people and you're like, oh, hey, I know you're working a 9 to 5, but if you want a freelance gig on the side, now I have this website for you. So those are the two paths that I think people most commonly take.
True, but so like just kind of switching topics, like we want you eventually want to move to Toronto. What's like the plan over the next certain months? Like do you want like how, are you going to try and find more work with web design? Like what do you what's like
Yeah,
have you really been thinking about your steps towards like the goal of kind of moving out, getting back in the city?
absolutely. I think I've been hesitant to move back in the city because I have a brother and sister in there right now, and they're like, it's not so great. Um, it's getting better, but it was not so great living in Toronto when nothing was open. And I was like, I can't have lived in Toronto and then go back and then have things not open. But I am definitely trying to get back there in the future. I think right now I'm just trying to do web design work. I think there is something to be said about specializing on one thing because even on this one project, I've just learned so much about all like the little details beyond just like a website. You need to have a grasp on pop-ups and promotions and email campaigns and all those like little things that fit into a website that are kind of outside of it. But in terms of steps to do that, I think just looking for web design work and then also reaching out because I'm seeing a ton of agencies are hiring for freelance talent, and a lot of the descriptions are we need help on a 1 to 2 month marketing site. We need email campaigns, and these are all things that kind of revolve around web design.
Mm-hmm. Fuck, I can't wait for the day when you move downtown. It's gonna be unbelievable doing this podcast in person all the
Couple
time.
snake bites.
Couple snake bites. Thanks so much for listening. It was a pleasure. Mose, we killed it. Next episode, we'll be back. Hopefully, we get another guest soon. Trying to land some more guests. It's been kind of tough. People are getting busy and whatnot, but we want to get more guests on. Make sure to listen to RnR at RnR Podcast on all platforms, including YouTube. Check us out, and we'll see you next week.